Welcome everyone to Sports Buzz with me, Zach Barnett, and I'm welcomed in by boxing legend
Oh man,
Michael Olajide. So
man.
let's get it rocking with a good one, man. Life is, I guess, all about rivalries,
Yes.
whether they get you down or you get the best of them. So,
Yeah.
how important are rivalries in boxing?
I think rivalries really, boy, that's a really good question. I think it's the essence of conflict, right? And I
Hmm.
think when it's one of those ingredients that are so important to a high quality fight when you
Hmm.
have that. So when you have two guys that genuinely don't like each other, it's not manufactured. It's a pure thing. Like you don't even, in fact, a lot of times with boxers, you don't even have to know a guy to know you don't like him. You just something about their vibe, something about how they present themselves. It's just so anti you and what you believe in and what you see and what you represent. And so right away, without knowing that individual, you're able to like say, okay, I don't like him and it's giving me more fuel for my fight. And it happens because after every single fight, you'll see two fighters come together, they'll shake hands, they'll hug, and 2, 3 years down the road, even they're friends. Like, I mean, they see each other and they're greeting each other like they were long lost brothers. And there's only one explanation for that. You know what I mean? They really do respect one another. They just don't understand one another. But that's kind of the thing that makes fighting so interesting, so unique. I think it's crazy, but it's cool.
Hey, it's all, I guess, when you the grand scheme of things, when they're the pre-fight, the
Mhm.
conferences where they have to, where you guys have to square up. I
Yeah.
think that's crucial, I guess,
Yes.
for the viewership.
It is. Here's what I think, though. I think that if the announcers, if the TV people taught people more about what boxing really is,
Hmm.
you wouldn't need all that emotional, like all that
Hype.
talk and the hype in order to make the fight big. Because once people understand what the fight really is, like fighters that go in there emotional and remain emotional rarely win. You can use the emotion to get you up off the initial thrust up into the air, but what's going to continue your fight and what's going to the ability to give you that for you to continue to be able to fight is ability, is intelligence, is like sane thought, not just this ridiculousness of calling somebody names and pushing each other and acting all, you know what I mean? People are appealing to the lowest common denominator when you do that. And I don't think the boxing pundits, the people that bring boxing to the masses, I don't think that they keep it really primitive for those reasons, I guess. And boxing can be elevated to a whole new level altogether. And I think that'll bring more eyes to the sport.
Absolutely. And either you're a boxer or a football player or a famous actor.
Yeah.
So, how destructive can being famous be on a person's life?
Uh, it really depends on the individuals, how long you're able to keep that hunger for. You know what I mean? That
Hmm.
fire, that competitive fire. And a lot of people, like Marvin Hagler used to say, and we talked about this just yesterday, guys find it hard to get up and do road work at 5 in the morning when you're sleeping in silk pajamas. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And he's never been more right. He's absolutely accurate. A lot of people with comfort, the fight leaves with the comfort. When a comfort enters the room, the ability to fight that nastiness, that aggressiveness that you need to become a fighter just dissipates. And yeah, so I think that all plays in. That all plays in.
Absolutely. And I think it really could be very destructive if you
Mhm.
let it.
Yes. Yeah. Um, because it can be extremely destructive. Like naturally, physically, it's destructive
Hmm.
no matter what. Like you get but you're conditioning your body and you're conditioning it to be able to withstand abuse, really.
Hmm.
That's what you're conditioning for, and to be able to sustain abuse upon your opponent. Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely that. But hmm.
That's a lot to unpack, I would say.
It really is. It goes both ways, and I don't know. It's something that's in every single human being. We do have that ability. Some of us nurture it more than others, and through
Hmm.
the fight, you give it growth, you give it energy, and you know, in the drop of the hat, you can turn around and be fighting, and it's not anything alien to you. Whereas people who have never fought before, it's a completely different alien thing. And when somebody becomes aggressive towards you, how do you respond to that? You know what I mean? It's really an interesting dynamic when you think about it, like just human norms of reactions and reflexes.
Definitely, man. Well, Michael, with on the other hand, happiness. Where do you find your happiness, man?
Boy, well, you definitely find a lot of happiness when you win. That's the easiest. That's the easiest part. Other than that, like if you lose and then you try to find happiness after that, that's a journey. You know what I mean? Like once you've lost, being able to find solace, being able to find happiness in yourself is really challenging because it's an abuse that is always going to be relived. It's going to be one relived by the internet or people
Hmm.
that you know, friends. You walk into the gym, everybody knows you lost. I remember coming home from my first loss, and I walked into my apartment, and the doormen, they don't really talk to you the same way as they used to. And it's only because, not because they're mean or anything, it's only because they don't know how to console you and they don't know how to talk to you. What do you say? So they just end up being quiet. So, but in that silence, you're reading things and you're like,
Hmm.
this is negativity. They're giving me negative, you know what I mean? So it
Feedback.
teaches me, yeah, exactly. So it teaches me either I have to do something different and make sure I don't lose again, because this is going to be this is going to be the reaction to that. So it's really, a lot of people maybe don't think of it as such a complex thing, but it really is. People, they react to you on whether you win or lose, and they give you good energy when you win, and they at least hold back on their energy when you lose. I
Definitely.
don't, yeah, it's
I see that, man. I see that. Like there's I don't, either it was a poem or something like that. You got to keep the failures and the successes equal because you got to treat them the same to have sustainability, I
yes,
guess, through life, I would say.
yeah.
And that's pretty much it
No,
on
you're
that
right.
part.
You're absolutely right. There's just has to be a balance in everything.
Hmm.
Because even a person like, of course, everyone would love to win all the time. You know what I mean? But
I don't think that's a possibility in life.
yeah, Floyd would say it is, but he did some losing in order to become a winner too. I think part of what drove him to be like maniacal in terms of his training,
Hmm.
Floyd Mayweather was talking about, was he lost a very, what he considered to be and what everyone considered to be a really bad decision in the Olympics, which cost him a medal. And and he was so distraught. I mean, he's openly crying on camera when the commentator was interviewing him. Now, if it affected him that deeply, he never forgot that lesson, and he used that as
Hmm.
prepared for every fight like it was his last fight. And so, there you have it. Losses do can help you. You can use that experience and turn it into something positive. I think that's cool.
Absolutely. And I think with the losses, I think they hold more weight
Oh yeah.
in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Yes, yes. No, you're right. Again, but not only because you know, do the losses hold more, they actually there's the physical reminder because every fighter that loses, they're never the same as what they were.
Hmm.
Absolutely never. I don't care who it is. If you have a tough fight, I mean, if you win by a 1 round knockout, yeah, of course. But if it was a contentious fight, if you were going back and forth with a guy, you're not the same guy as you were when you came in the ring. The clock is ticking. You only have so much of that. Like we all it's not infinite. It is a finite amount of energy and abuse that we can take. And after a while, those cracks start to show, and that's why defense is important.
Absolutely, man. So the boxing community lost a staple
Yes.
in George Foreman. So I guess this week How would you rank George Foreman all time? This is, I guess, a tribute question to him.
Yes, I believe George Foreman. When I want to say too many things at the same time, so let me just take a breath for a second. George, when I initially saw him and heard of him, like I'm like an over the hill Muhammad Ali fan, right? But I remember
Hmm.
when I was a kid, and I remember when they were saying George Foreman was going to fight Ali, and everyone was talking about how Foreman was killing everybody, and how what he did to Ken Norton, what he did to Joe Frazier, what he did to so many fighters before him. Every single fighter was almost knocked out by him. And they were saying like how Ali's older now and he doesn't stick and move anymore. He doesn't do the things he used to do. He doesn't stand a chance with George Foreman. They feel like George was actually going to murder Ali in the ring. And I grew up and I had all my energy into Ali and I just wanted him to win. And he did win that fight, but so he lost that fight, and then he came back. He had a few more fights, and then he dipped out of boxing for a long time. And then I don't know, it must have been at least 15 years, 15, 20 years. He comes back, and this is unheard of. He was at his prime in the 70s, in the mid early 70s.
Hmm.
He comes back in like the late 80s, mid late 80s and 90s, and he becomes the world champion again after 20 years of not boxing. That's madness. That's
It
like who
is.
did that? Yeah. And not only does he do that, like he does it against one of the best generation of heavyweights that we've had. Like I know Ali's generation was the greatest. Joe Frazier, George Foreman, Norton listed all those guys, Floyd Patterson, everything. But besides that, the Tyson Holyfield, Michael Moore. I mean, there were just so many heavyweight champs that were really legitimately good fighters or great fighters, Lennox Lewis included. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And George Foreman was able to come back and knock Michael Moore out to win the heavyweight title of the world. I think that was insane. That was just a marvel. So to me, George Foreman is an all-time great. I would, as a heavyweight, I would put him in my top five. Yes, I couldn't see very many people beating him. I really couldn't. And that's even the comeback, the guy that came back. I'm
Hmm.
saying just the young one, the one that came. I couldn't see very many people beating him. Wow.
Me either, man.
Yeah.
Especially with those grills too.
Yeah, I bought two. I
Really.
had two George Foreman grills. I was happy to contribute to as well. But it was amazing. I made the greatest grilled cheese sandwiches and they were quick. And then you know what they did because you do the grilled cheese sandwich, you put the layer down, it would all heat up, and then the butter and the cheese would like sort of like come out the bottom of
Yeah. And
the
that little
grill.
tray.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you could pour it back on your toast. It melted back in. It was perfect.
Well, Michael, we're going to end on this one. This is another food question.
Yeah.
I know with the place that you're from,
Mhm.
fish and chips is pretty
Fish and chips.
it's
Yeah.
pretty dominant over there. So in 5 words, what are the best descriptive words to describe fish and chips?
Wow. Boy. Addictive. Um, um, let me see. They're very like comforting. Addictive, they're comforting. They give you energy. Like that, like I just feel like very energetic. Yeah, I never felt full or satiated. You know what I mean? You can always go
Mhm.
back for more. So I guess that plays into the addictive thing as well. Oh, let me see. Plain, like they're general. You know what I mean? It's not
Mhm.
nothing exotic about fish and chips. It's like basic fry the fish, fry the potatoes, and that's it. But you have to remember that in Liverpool we also have mushy peas with them. So
Oh,
let me tell you something. The mushy peas are amazing.
really?
Yes.
I would have to try that.
And next time, next time you're there in Liverpool, get and then the other thing. Okay, so yes, the fish, the chips, the mushy peas, and you can't forget. What am I? I'm forgetting. It's my punch drunk syndrome is acting up. The Cuins.
Hewins. What is that?
Okay, so Cuins are like these little shell crustacean kind of things. They're like snails, and they're very
Oh,
small. So what you do is you boil them, and you take a needle and you take the Cuin out, the slug or whatever it is. You take it out with the pin, and you eat it, and it's so good. It's fantastic with the fish and chips. It really is. And then there's one more thing that goes with them. And I don't know why I'm blanking on it right now. It's crazy, but it's really good. I mean,
I'm
you
just
don't
good with tartar sauce, man. That's it.
tartar sauce. Tartar sauce works. Tartar sauce works. Yeah, but the fish and chips is, I went back to Liverpool about, I took my mom back a year and a half ago.
Hmm.
And I had fish and chips from Liverpool for the first time in 40 years. And
Hmm.
it was incredible. I know what it is, but we can't forget. The most important part of fish and chips, hands down, it has to be in the newspaper.
In the newspaper.
Wrapped in the newspaper. Absolutely. That's the only legit kind you get. It's crazy, but it's like now I guess for some reason they don't wrap it in newspaper anymore. But the fish and chips back when I was a kid and through the early 70s, they used to wrap them in newspaper. You got the fish, the chips, you do the vinegar, whatever else you got, but it was wrapped in the newspaper and it was mwah, like this. That's legitimate fish and chips right there.
I hear you, man. Well, great definition, Michael.
You won't find that anymore. They won't do it in a newspaper, but you can buy your own newspaper and wrap it. You know what I
Hey,
mean?
you got to get it somewhere. Well, Michael Olajide, man, it's been an honor to have you on Sports Buzz with me,
Thank
Zach
you.
Barnett, and we'd welcome you back for another one, man.